Hello everyone. So today we will be solving 9618 Summer 22 Paper 4-2 question number 3. So this is a question which involves both OOP and file handling. And it's a little tricky as well. So we'll just get to it. Okay. So the question says a programmer is designing a computer game that uses a set of cards. Each card has a number and a color. The cards are saved in a text file cardvalues.txt. The program has a class named card. The class has the following attributes and methods. So these are the attributes of the class and these are the methods which also include the constructor. So it's a small class, so it's not going to take a lot of time to set it up. Okay, so the A part is the constructor takes the number and the color of the card as parameters and sets them to private attributes. Write program code to declare the class card and its constructor. Do not write any other methods. So in this video we're going to be using Python, so we have to use attribute declarations as comments as well. Okay, so let's get to it. Okay, so we have to set up the class. The name is card. Okay, so this is basic, the A part. So we're just gonna have to write the attributes. Yeah, number and color, and they're one is number is integer, color is string, and yeah, just the constructor. So number and color, and this is how you make them private. The double underscore thing is to be able to make it private. Okay, so this is the way that they said that takes two values as parameters and sets them to private attributes. So these are the private attributes, and we're going to set them to the parameter value. So whenever we call this class in the main program, we're going to give it two parameter values, and this is how they're going to shift sort of assign themselves to the number and the color. And we have to give them the attribute declaration. So this was an integer and this is a string. So this is important during your exam, that you have to make sure that if you're using Python, then you have to do the attribute declarations like this as well. Alright, moving on to the second part, we have to write the get methods. To get methods, return the associated attribute. This is easy as well. So make sure you're inside the class. Okay, so the one thing that you can use if you're confused that if a certain method or a certain function is supposed to be inside the class or not, then you have to refer to this sort of table that they've given. If in the next question, for example, they ask you to write a function which is, for example, this choose card, and you're not sure, you sort of get confused that if I'm supposed to write it inside the class or not, then you have to refer back to this table and see if it's over here. If it's part of the table, then it's supposed to be inside the class, which means that you have to write it after this indent. If it's not in the table, then that means you have to write it outside the class. Alright. Okay, so currently the get method is obviously inside the class, so we have to just write the get methods and return. Yes, and get color. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So this is our get method. Okay, so moving on to the C part, it says the text file cardvalues.txt stores the data for 30 cards in order, number and color. Okay, for example, the first card in the text file is 1 is the number and red is the color. So it technically has 30 lines if it has for 30 cards. Okay, so a 1D array of type card is declared to store all the cards read in from the cardvalues.txt. Write the main program to declare an array of type card with 30 elements. Read in the data from 30 cards from cardvalues.txt and assign to each array. Okay, so this is for 7 marks, and we have to do both of these things in the main program. They have not asked us to create a separate function or a separate procedure for reading the elements. We just have to do it directly in the main program. Okay, so let's start with this as well. I'm going to start off with declaring the array. They have not given us any name, so we can just use our own name. So I'll just write card info. And you can declare arrays in different ways. There is no set way actually, but I just like to initialize it so I just know which data type it is. So what I'm going to do is, sorry, for underscore in range 30, because the array of type is of type card. So there are 30 cards they've already given us, so we can just initialize this way. If they haven't given like a set value for how long the array is supposed to be or how many data elements it's supposed to have, we can just have an empty array and we can just append. But for these instances, it's good if you just do it directly like this way as well, without appending and stuff. Okay, so now we are gonna use exception handling as well, and we are gonna open the file for reading. So we are gonna get the file path. This is our file, and then we get the file path from the location. I copied it, and now I am gonna copy it here, and then I'm gonna write the file name as well, which was card values, I think, .txt, and this is for read. Okay. Yeah, card values. Okay, so now that I've opened the file, they've said that the first line is the number and the second line is the color. Okay, so we are gonna put it into two. We can do it directly as well, but directly put it into the card class object, but this is easier. It makes the code more like readable. So we're going to do file.readline.strip. The strip part sort of removes the blank spaces in the file. And then so I am also going to convert this into an integer, because I'm sure that the first line is always going to be the number and the second line is always going to be the string, which is going to be the color, so I can be sure of that, right? So this is also going to be file.readline.strip. So if you don't know from file handling, it's just going to read it in order. So whenever I do this, the first time it runs, it's going to read the first line and the second line, and then every time it runs, it's going to sort of read the new line that is over there. So we can also put this in a loop. Yeah, we actually have to put it in a loop, because there are 15 cards. It's going to run 15 times. So sorry, 30 cards, which means 60 lines. So we are going to do it like this. Okay, so now we are gonna put it in the card info. First element, it can be the same as the index, and we are gonna put the number and the color. Okay, so this assigns the object to the array. Okay, so I think this is it, and we are gonna close the file and then do the exception handling. Yes, so this is it. That the program needs to allow all players, a maximum of 5, to select 4 cards from the 30 available. The card can only be selected once, so the program needs to record which cards have already been selected. Okay, so there are maximum of 5 players, and they have to each select 4 cards from the 30 available. So, okay, and the program needs to record which cards have been selected, obviously, because repeat cards cannot be selected. Okay, so this function choose_card takes as input an integer to represent an array index from 1 to 30, validates that the value is between 1 and 30 inclusive. Okay, so when it says 1 and 30, we need to 1 to 30. We need to keep in mind that in Python, our array's first index is 0. So if the user enters, for example, the array index 1, if they want the card number 1, we have to, that corresponds to the 0th index in the array. So we have to do index -1. We're referring to the array from the user's input. Okay. So the third thing is that we have to check if the card is available. So that is something that we can check if we're going to declare a new array, which is the basic approach, that we can declare another array which is going to store the index of all the selected cards, and we can cross check from that array if the card is available or if it is not available. Okay, so it's going to loop until an available card is selected and return the index of the card if it is available. So we have to amend the main program to store which cards have already been selected and write program code for the function choose_card. Okay. The first step is that in the main program, we have to declare an array, which we're going to use inside the function as well. So I'm going to make it a global array. and that array was going to store the index of all the cards that are not available, that have already been chosen by the players or whatever. And because we do not know the length of that array, like how many players have already chosen and you know all that thing, so we're just going to declare it as an empty array, and we're not going to initialize it, and we're just going to append any new card that is used to that array, so it just sort of fills up by itself. Okay, so we are going to make a global array. I'm just going to name it selected index, and it is an empty array. Okay, so now we are going to write our function choose card. Okay, so first thing is takes as input an integer to represent an array index from 1 to 30. Okay, so we are going to take input, so it's going to be index is equal to int input, please enter the card you want to choose. Okay, so now we have to loop until a valid card is added. So if while index is less than 1 or index is greater than 30, it's gonna ask again, and we can change the input line as well between 1 and 30 inclusive. Okay, so once this is done, we're going to move on to the second thing, which is also done. Checks if the card is available. Okay, so for that we can also declare a flag, which we can use actually, and we also have to put the array inside actually. And I'm gonna declare a flag which is gonna help me sort of break the loop if the card is available or if it's not. So we're gonna set a new loop here. Okay, while available is equal to false and index is less than equal to 30, in case it just sort of doubles. Okay, so while available is equal to false and index is less than equal to 30, loops until an available card is selected. So if we're gonna check if the index is inside the selected index. So if index -1, because as I already said that we have to sort of do -1 for it to correspond with the array index, which is according to Python because it starts from 0 and not 1. So if index -1 is in selected index, so this is just going to run directly, we don't have to really do anything. This in thing is just going to check itself throughout the array if index -1 is part of the selected index or not, and if it is be part of the selected index, that means that the card has already been chosen and we need another input. So we are gonna ask the user to do another input. Card is not available, please choose another card. Okay, so this is how we are gonna do this. If it's not in the selected index, then we're gonna make available true, and we are gonna append the index -1 to the selected index, which is gonna sort of make sure that the selected card is added to the new array as well, so that it's not repeated. And we also, I think we have to return the index of the card if it is available. Yeah, and return index. So if we actually do the math, then there are 5 members, 5 players and 4 cards. So 5 4s are 20. So you can actually not exceed the 30 cards actually. So we don't have to worry about exceeding the number of cards. So we're going to do index, we're going to return index -1 because that is going to be the index of the card in the array, obviously. Okay, so now to the E part, it says the main program needs to allow one player to select all of their 4 cards. Amend the main program to create an array player 1 for player 1 of type card. Ask player 1 to input 4 integers using the function from part 3D. Store the cards in player 1. Output the number and color of the 4 cards in player 1. So we're going to loop 4 times, and we're going to store the card in player 1. Okay, and then we're going to output it as well. So we can get onto this. This is also not that hard. First we are gonna declare the array. So instead of, I'm just gonna declare it as a string right now, and then we're gonna put the card object inside. Otherwise I would have to initialize the card. So we can do player1 is equal to we know there are going to be 4 cards, so we can do it this way as well. Okay, so we're gonna loop 4 times and get the index from choose card. Okay, so and then we are gonna put that card into player X. Okay, so the old array's name was card info, so we are gonna get the return value is the index, and we're gonna get the name, and then we are gonna get the color. Okay, sorry, and get color, because the attributes are private, so we have to get the color and number like this, and we cannot do it like directly. Okay, so we are making an object of card, and we are getting the name, number and color through the index, which is the return value, and the return value we're getting from choose card, and this is going to loop 4 times, and then we have to print it 4 times as well. In range 4 we are gonna print player1 x dot get number and player1 x dot get color. Okay, so this is gonna print them in order as well. So we are gonna get, for example, if it's 1 red and then 5 blue and then whatever the card the player has to. Okay, so now we're gonna test your program with the following test data and take a screenshot to choose the output. Okay, so now we're gonna run this, and if there are any errors we can fix those. Okay, please enter the card you want to choose. So our first test is 1, 5, 9, 10. Okay, 1, 5, 9, 10. Okay, so 1 red, 9 green, 9 orange, and 10 red. Okay, so we're just gonna hope that this is correct, and we can check across the marking scheme. And then our second test is 2, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5. So 2, 2, 3, 4, 4. Okay, so it's working fine. 5. 5 black, 2 white, 4 red, and 9 green. Okay, so this is your required output. I'm also just gonna check it from the marking scheme, and then we're gonna make sure that it is correct as well. Right, so both our outputs are correct, and this code is working perfectly fine. So I've also divided it into the parts. If you guys need help, you can comment, and if you want more videos like this, please like, comment, and share, and subscribe as well. Thank you.